How much money do you make? How much money do you have in the stock market right now? What's your portfolio looking like? How many of your kids have their college already paid off? These are uncomfortable questions. If you're like me, you don't want to answer them. You don't know how to answer them. Maybe you're hoping that next year is going to be a big windfall, which is why you keep playing the lottery. Money is such a stinky, sticky subject, and you just want to get unstuck. Sometimes words can keep us broke, and our mindset specifically can do that. So let's get into that topic right now. Money, 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 money. Money. Money, 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 money. Money. Oh yeah. Since I was old enough to pick up a newspaper, I was weirded out by money. Actually, I was just fascinated with what things cost. When most kids my age would go right to the comics section of the newspaper, or maybe they'd be inclined to go to the sports section of the newspaper, this guy went straight to the classified ads. I can remember it. I'd be 9 or 10 years old, spending all of my Saturday just flipping through, learning about how much a bunny might cost, how much a used toaster might cost, or a microwave oven. I wanted to know where all the yard sales were anywhere near my house. Why? I'm not exactly sure. I just knew I was fascinated with how much things cost and how do I acquire them, because my folks weren't ever talking about it. My dad never had that conversation. My mom would never tell me how much money she made or how much they spent on their house or their car payment. We talked nothing about it. So I just kind of lived in my own head. And I think a lot of us do that. I think we're just afraid to talk about money. But money shouldn't be so scary. Isn't it peculiar that people don't want you to talk about money when you're interviewing for a job? Not in the first interview. Sometimes they say it's uncouth to do it in the second interview. They can't really talk about it until the third interview. But when you think about it, you're going to the job interview so you can land a career and so you can start making money that will pay for those bills of yours. What if you go ahead and spend interview 1 and interview 2 just playing the game, getting back in there, seeing the second interview, seeing that third interview, and find out you can't afford to take that job because it doesn't pay enough? That's craziness! Although money is not the root of all evil, in fact, it's actually taken out of context. The biblical phrase is the love of money is the root of all evil. But really, I think sometimes people just feel just so uncomfortable about money, and it can lead to a lot of negativity. Your mindset has everything to do with how you will interact with money and how money will flow to you. Now, I don't want to get too philosophical or flighty about this, but I know that there is some truth to the way that you react to money, and your relationship with money has a direct correlation with how it interacts with you and how much of it comes back to you. If you are always worried about money and you have always got this negative connotation about money and this kind of lack that's concerning you, that there's not going to be enough and there's always a scarcity, it will invariably change the way that money comes back. Now, that sounds like hocus pocus, and I used to feel probably just like you do right now if this feels uncomfortable, but if you shift that mindset and you realize that it's always going to come back to you if you've got a good attitude about it, your energy around it will directly impact its energy coming back in abundance. And you have to start thinking more abundantly as opposed to a scarcity mindset. Many a business owner that I interact with happen to get dominated by this thought of lack of resources, lack of money being there. And as a result, they can't really operate their business healthy. They can't spend the money that they need to grow or invest in advertising or marketing, which would make the phone ring and have the ability to have more people in the payroll to make their lives easier. They just always think that it's going to be this paycheck to paycheck or sometimes payroll to payroll mindset. And that's where we have to break that cycle. Money itself has no energy of its own. It's just paper or metal coins. But it's the way that we think about money and all that we value it that changes that for us. It either gives us complete joy and happiness, or it is the reason for so much sorrow. So really, it does kind of possess a bit of energy. It's our mental focus on the money that makes it good or makes it bad. I have a close friend who loves Yelp. Now, Yelp has helped his business quite a bit. However, he will spend $0 on Yelp. He's had quite a few opportunities come his way, but he only pays for nothing. He doesn't want to spend $1 on Yelp because he's afraid that that money will just go out the door. And the weird thing is, he might get one client a month right now with the free version because he's in the right place at the right time. However, if he spent some money, he'd probably get 5 different clients and it'd be very profitable, easily returning that investment, but doesn't see the value in it because he's too caught up in worrying about where the money might go. You've heard the adage, it takes money to make money. That's true. In fact, to plant a garden or even a crop of fields, you need to have seeds. So you need the seed money to get started. And if you don't start out with the proper seeds, in this case, the money that you need to get the business to a healthy place, then you will find yourself in a drought. You'll find yourself without a crop when everyone else is making success out of their business in the same good season. We get so weirded out though about money. Maybe it's because we're always trying to keep up with the Joneses or the Goldsteins. Why do the Joneses get all of the good credit? I don't even know any Joneses.
You know some Goldsteins.
I know some Goldsteins, and they're doing very well for themselves. So many people right now, in fact, I think the stats are 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Think about that. Almost 8 out of every 10 people are living in houses they really can't afford or driving really nice cars that they shouldn't be buying. And it's so we can maybe impress people we hardly even know. I don't want to live like that. If you could just get comfortable with where you are situationally with your own status, you will stop looking for this almost unattainable lifestyle. Lifestyle isn't all that important. As we're in COVID times right now, we're learning more and more how cool we look doesn't really make much difference because no one's going anywhere. No one's going to the mall. Nobody's going to the clubs. What club? Do the clubs even exist anymore? I think once we start realizing that the most important things are family and the values that we're placing on that family and our friendship circle, those are the things that are impossible to pay for and impossible to overspend in. You just spend the time, and that's when those relationships grow. So many people go into debt because they're chasing other people's realities. And the reality is, not always is the grass greener, although you think it is on the other side of that fence. When you think about it, the person on that other side of the fence is looking over at your side of the fence, wondering how green your grass is and how can they get that? We really just need to take care of our own yards, fertilize our own yards, and spend the time to enjoy what we have and not look at what other people have. That will be eventually what keeps you happy. Here are some of the words that we are using that are keeping us down and keeping us in a bit of a broke mindset. Try. Some people say, I'm going to give it a try. Yeah, I'll think about that and I'll try that tomorrow. When you do that, you're automatically not putting everything you can into an effort. You got to eliminate try and just do. How about the word can't? I can't do it. I just can't. That's not like me. It's not intrinsic nature for me to do that. That's not my talent. That's somebody else. I can't. Can't will never get you anywhere. Eliminate that word. And although this word sounds like it's positive, hope, it's not always positive in the way that we're using it. Oh, I sure hope it gets better tomorrow. I hope we're going to get some jobs pretty soon. Hope isn't enough. You need to have the effort that will follow that. You need to get beyond just hope and have a lot more control over your own affairs. It's no mystery that credit card companies love to pick on us at 18 years old when we're fresh to college. As soon as we're 18 years old, they give you a t-shirt or a stuffed animal and tell you to come over here and sign your life away with MBNA, those bastards, or any of the other credit cards. My wife's had that problem. I know I had that problem when I first started out. It seems like you get like 20% interest rate and you pay it off in like 17 years. It's the dumbest idea ever. So we're obviously not talking about our money situations with our kids at the right time. That's a mistake. For myself, I'm going to break the chain that has happened in my own life. I'm going to involve my kids in financial conversations as soon as they are ready to even ask the question. I don't think it should be necessary to leave that very important thing called money in the darkness, where kids will just wonder about it, be curious about it, and never get real straight answers. It's kind of like a lot of things. You don't want them to learn everything they can from their peers, because what are their peers going to teach them? They don't know any better. I'd love for my kids to be old enough to ask me about these things that are concerning them. How much money do I need to make to go ahead and be out on my own? Or what is it going to take for me to earn a new car? I want to talk about that straight with people. And I think we should all start communicating. I don't think this has been very healthy for any of us, because many of us are just worried about money, and I don't think it's necessary. So stop thinking about lack and start thinking about prosperity. If you like any of this, hit that like button. If you loved it, subscribe. We got all kinds of information we're going to bring to you in the next couple of weeks. Every Monday, we will release another video for your listening pleasure. Is this on? Money, money, money. What you think about money? What you think about money?